Hello, and welcome to Will's Infinite Library. I'm Will, and this is my Infinite Library. If a library is truly infinite, it can hold any number of media forms, such as books and video games. I've been getting a lot of good reactions to my recent video about video games, so I thought, why not make more? Give the people what they want. So today I'm really excited to bring you this video, kind of bridging that gap, because I was thinking a lot of people who watch this channel came here for books, most of them, but a lot of people also enjoy hearing about video games. And maybe there are some people who are curious about games, but don't know where to start. And so I thought I would give you some recommendations of video games to try based on books that you enjoy. I've seen a lot of videos kind of on this theme going the other way, like if you like this video game, try this book. But I thought I'd try the opposite because I thought that would work well here. So if you like this book, try this video game. Or I'll link down below in the description of this video some videos from other people who have done that opposite one that I said that I enjoyed. So you can check out some more recommendations if you'd like. But with that, let's get started. So first off, I was thinking a popular thing that a lot of people enjoy is space exploration and survival. So I'm thinking of books like Starmaker, books like The Martian, that deal with both survival and exploration of a vast universe. So if you've enjoyed those kind of books, I would recommend to you No Man's Sky primarily. I think that would be great because that has both survival elements, where you're trying to survive in a cold, dark universe, but also exploration, where you're going to different planets and seeing what life forms are there, what lives there, what the planet is made up of, what the view from the planet is like, what kind of suns or stars do you see, what kind of moons does it have. It's just really fascinating and fun to explore and unravel the mysteries of the universe as you go. And then some other recommendations would be Mass Effect, always a favorite for me, and you can also explore there as well. Explore different planets and things, especially as you get onto the later entries in the series. And also Starfield, to name a more recent space exploration game, which I have played a little bit of, but not much. I think it would be good if you like those kind of books, but let me know. Next, sticking with the sci-fi theme, another one I wanted to recommend is if you like books like Rabbits, like these kind of sci-fi thrillers, I would recommend games like Quantum Break, like Control. These are games very much in the same vein that are like very fast-paced plots, very cinematic, but they're all focused on kind of unraveling these kind of secrets of reality and what's really going on. So I think that would be a perfect pairing. Another space theme, if you like space battles, you like books like Armada by Ernest Cline, I would recommend for you some kind of space shooter, like maybe Star Wars Squadrons would be a good one, just to name one. But there are a lot of different ones out there where you can feel like you're in the cockpit of a spaceship, which, I mean, who doesn't want to feel like that? Another sci-fi one, so like I'm thinking found family sci-fi, like The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And for people who like that, guess what I would recommend? Mass Effect. If you like books like that are kind of this found family, very diverse, queer friendly, I would recommend Mass Effect because you get to kind of build your space family and have all different characters. You get to romance aliens, just saying. And then kind of sticking with that theme, but switching over to fantasy. If you like found family fantasy and queer fantasy specifically, I'm thinking books like the Adam Binder series, like the Tarot Sequence, but then also books like The House in the Cerulean Sea. I would recommend to you Dragon Age because I had a similar experience, especially with Dragon Age Inquisition, where you're building this diverse cast of characters however you want, and you really feel like they are your quirky little band of weird family members that you just love, and it's just fun to adventure around this fantasy world with them. And then like moving over to the other side of fantasy, like I'm thinking cozy fantasy specifically, which I know a lot of people enjoy cozy fantasy books. For me, recent reads include Legends and Lattes, The Name of the Wind, which I think is a cozy fantasy, and also The House in the Cerulean Sea again. I would recommend to you games like Fable, maybe even Skyrim, though that's a bit more like adventure heavy. and combat focused, you can just kind of live in that world and inhabit it. Games like those, you can just, yeah, like I said, just hang out in this fantasy world. Like Fable is very lighthearted, so you can just like kind of have fun and chill there. It doesn't have to always be like big crazy battles and things. And Skyrim, like I said, you can just make it your own because it's an open world, do whatever you want. And then also along those lines, I'm thinking kind of like farming sims as well. If you enjoy just like going into a fantasy world and living another life, games like My Time at Portia, Coral Valley, even Stardew Valley will let you just kind of like have a farm, chat with people, hang out, build your house, do whatever you want, just live in a fantasy world. And then we're going to go a bit deeper. So the next I'm thinking is like imaginative sci-fi books with fantasy elements. So my prime example of this is the series Radix, which isn't as popular, but it's really good because it gets really deep into these really cool sci-fi ideas. And it's so imaginative and fresh. It's like nothing I've ever read before. It like made a whole new space in my mind that never existed before. And if you like that, I would recommend the Xenoblade Chronicles series. I would recommend Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy X specifically, as I think those are more like sci-fi fantasy, blending those two genres together in a way that creates something totally new and different and uses these kind of sci-fi ideas and themes in kind of a fantasy setting, or like in a fantasy setting that's in a different planet and feels like everything's just totally different and new and really cool. So I highly recommend all of those. Now it gets interesting. So now I'm thinking of one of my favorite recent reads, The City We Became. And if you like these kind of metaphysical themes and blurred genre between sci-fi and fantasy, kind of like I was talking about before, but a little darker and a little different, I would recommend the Persona series, which is kind of like a lifestyle sim. It's usually focused on like Japanese high school students and their gang of friends, and you like go through their day-to-day life. But then usually there's a section where you go into like a dark other world and explore, and there's like RPG battles and mechanics and all that kind of thing. But they do a really good job of blending the realistic world with this weird sci-fi fantasy world. Also, I'd recommend Infamous Second Son, which is kind of like an urban fantasy superhero game, I guess you could say. Like, it's very much in the real world, set in Seattle, very realistic, but you also have superpowers, and it just kind of like breaks that barrier of reality. Again, Final Fantasy VII and Xenoblade Chronicles, I would recommend them pretty much all the time, but I think they fit in here as well. Another category I'm excited about is what I'm thinking of is like epic sci-fi fantasy character-driven stuff. So like on the book side, if you like books like Appleseed, if you like books like Cloud Atlas, Bleeding Light, Cloud Cuckoo Land, How High We Go in the Dark, Sea of Tranquility, I think you should check out Live Alive #1. That's the best one, I think. But also the Octopath Traveler games are good for that too, because all of these games combine a vast sea of characters from all different walks of life, all different types of people. And in Live Alive's case, people throughout time, like a lot of these books. And they all, in that game specifically, in Live Alive, each character has their own story, their own like kind of style for how their game section goes. Some are more story driven, some have a different kind of battle system, some are stealth based. They're all different in different places and times, and different characters. The characters battle differently. So that's a lot like Cloud Atlas and those kind of books where each section is so different in its style and delivery. So I think those are a perfect kind of pairing. If you like those kind of stories, check that out. The last one I wanted to talk about, which is my favorite recommendation, just because I think it's great for any reader who's thinking about trying a video game and maybe doesn't know where to start or isn't sure what they'll like. So if you like kind of atmospheric fantasy with meta elements like the Starless Sea or like Piranesi, I would highly recommend you check out What Remains of Edith Finch. This is a game that you can play on basically anything. So you can play this on like Steam on your PC, you can play it on iOS, you can play it on Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, anything. It's pretty short. Again, like the last mention, it's divided into sections by character, and each character is told in a different way, has their own story, and the gameplay is different. So some are like more text-based, some are more based on a certain mechanic or something like that. The game is very text-based. It incorporates text into the visuals a lot. So if you're a reader, you're going to feel right at home here. And it's just really cool. It's kind of haunting and dark. So if you're not into dark things, which I'm typically not, like the overall vibe of something just being only dark usually doesn't super appeal to me, but this game was super interesting. It's so short that I was happy to inhabit it for a while and to kind of come away feeling like I'd encountered something totally new, a new kind of storytelling that I'd never seen before in a game or a book, in this kind of perfect meeting of both of these kind of medias and what they can do. So those are my top 10 recommendations for books and video games. Really, like I said, this can go either way. If you like the book, check out the game. If you like the game, check out the book. But I hope this sparks your curiosity to read and play different kinds of games than maybe you have in the past. And like I said, also check out in the description below those other videos that I linked from other content creators who talked about books that you would like if you liked the game, because they have some really great recommendations too, and even one of them included the same recommendation I did. See if you can find it. But anyways, thanks again for hanging out with me, and let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, if you'd like to see more video game or book content, or any specific game book combinations that you think of, or that you think other people might enjoy. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's always a pleasure spending time with you in this virtual space. And with that, I'll let you get back to your reading and gaming. See you next time.